Hey guys, welcome back to This Is What I Do with me, CD Zanda. It's another day, it's another episode, and we are trying to get back like we never left. And we're on a quest to get our podcast out of the hundreds into the thousands. I mean, I always ask you guys, don't just watch, also subscribe. Our YouTube needs your numbers. We need to start moving out of those hundreds into the thousands so that we can continue having these amazing conversations with our amazing guests. Ne? Subscribe, guys. Please, we need them. Every day we need them. Today's guest is that amazing guest that we want to continue having. Her name is Dr. Doreen Kosi, founder and CEO of DKVIP Projects. She is also a very seasoned public policy advisor, a CSI specialist, and my personal favorite, and her new title now, she is an author of a book called From Village Dreams to Global Ambitions, The Chronicles of My Life. Dr. Kosi, welcome to This Is What I Do.
Thank you very much.
How are you feeling?
I'm all right, thanks.
It's been a long time coming.
It's been over a year. It's been over a year, but I'm glad I'm here.
Yes.
Happy to be here today.
Have you started getting used to being called doctor?
It's been 2 years, but you never get used to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm getting there.
Getting there.
I'm getting there.
And someone
yeah.
says, Dr. Kosi,
Oh, Tottenham. Tottenham. Oh, okay.
That's me.
But I guess one of the things that I've really been saying about this big doctor thing is that once you get too preoccupied about these titles, you never get anything done. So it's one of those things I'm like, oh, okay, I do it when I do it, but I move.
A book.
Oh, yes, my pride.
A book, long time coming. We're going to
pride.
go deep into it at the end of it. But, yeah, you know, when I was preparing your questions, I tried so hard not to go deep into it because we are talking 17 years of experience across the board, private sector, public sector, academia, you name it, NGOs. You know, it's been a journey.
It's been. Definitely
Which one has been your favorite so far, where you were like, here I enjoyed myself?
Sure. If you've been around for as long as I have been, you get into a position and you feel this is it, but then something itches and then you want to move on. So you keep saying, this is my favorite, but then as you move, as different challenges emerge, you're like, okay, I need to move. Then you get into a new position, then it becomes a favorite. So I guess most of them may be my favorites, but if I look back, now that I no longer am in the rat race, if I look back, I think my time in the presidency, the 14 years I spent in the presidency, have been the most amazing.
Out of all of them?
Out of all of them, they've been the most amazing because they gave me so much latitude to work with people, to do what I really like doing most, build communities, interface with people. So my time in the presidency has been the best.
And we're talking 4 deputy presidents under your belt.
4 transitions.
4 transitions.
4 transitions. And the transitions have been...
Do you even remember who they were?
I do. Okay. I lived that time.
Who was your favorite deputy president?
All of them were. Because they're different.
Yeah,
all of them
they
were
are
because they're different.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about yourself. Where is...
Okay.
I call you Mrs. K, but now I must call you Mrs. Dr. Kosi. What was young Doreen up to? Where are you from? Tell us about how you grew up.
Okay, so I'm from a village called Ansho Location. It's a village in the Eastern Cape Province, Raymond Mhlaba. I come from a setup of single women. I was raised by 2 amazing single women back at the time. And I come from a village where I'm lucky because my village is Ansho Location, where abantu abanjengotata Jabavu come from.
Yes.
Abantu abanjengo-Advocate Ncuka come from. Sisiphumzile Mlambo Ncuka, we've co-opted because she's makoti wethu.
Okay.
So I come from a village, abo Thunyiswa, Bulelwa Thunyiswa, who was an MEC at some point, was a deputy speaker at some point. So I come from a village that has so many stalwarts and so many freedom fighters, by the way.
Where in the Eastern Cape is this?
It's in Middle Drift.
Middle Drift?
Yeah, it's Ansho Location is within Middle Drift.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Raymond Mhlaba district.
Were you naughty? Are you a firstborn? Where are you in the family structure?
Actually, I'm the firstborn, but I was one of those.
Firstborn
I'm a firstborn, and I'm one of those who grew up very, very focused. By the way, I was very focused. I loved fighting. I used to fight because I've always hated injustice.
As a person or
As a
physical?
person, as a physical fighting. I grew up among boys,
Boys, yeah.
and everywhere we go, I would go with boys. And one of the things that I usually did back then, I knew that I couldn't keep quiet when I see injustice from a very young age. So I used to fight physically. I mean, street fights and stuff.
Yeah, if you bully someone, I bully you back.
I actually fought for those who were bullied in front of me. Because I don't think people ever wanted to bully me because I was very quiet. Not quiet, but I was very put together. I've always been put together. But I always hated it when people bully others, so that's why I would come in.
You tick you off. Firstborn vibes. I never asked you this question, but I just knew though.
My husband says, I'm Utabao. You know what Utabao?
Yes,
I'm not gonna say that other name that we say at home is an inside joke. But he says, yeah, Utabao nyan. So he means Tetakaiwan. He means you think you're always in charge, you always want to take charge. So I guess it's in my nature that as a firstborn, I was raised to make sure that I look after those coming after me.
Yes, and maintain order.
Yeah.
And when you were dreaming back then, and you dream of what success means and looks like for you, what did it look like? I mean, especially after matric, with the plan that you're now going to go into tertiary, what were you dreaming of what you wanted for yourself?
So I think the most important thing for me at CD is that back in the day when I grew up in a family structure where there was no father figure as such. And father figures were the uncles, the elder brothers and stuff.
Yes.
So we didn't have a typical father as you know it. So one of my dreams have always been, I must make it in life so that I make sure that I get my family out of poverty.
Yep.
And then I contribute towards my village.
Yeah.
Because I knew back then, I was raised, by the way, auntie, also my mother's sister, elder sister, who raised me, was a shipping queen at some point.
On the tavern?
Yes,
Okay.
on the tavern back then. Remember,
Yes.
taverns back then were within our homes. So in the lounge, there's a tavern. You cross to the bedroom, cross to the kitchen, you cross into a tavern. So I was raised in that kind of environment. And my dreams actually started back then because I felt, as much as I know that this tavern, it feeds us, it takes us to school, it does all sorts of things, but I knew that I wanted to do better. So I knew that I never wanted to be a shipping queen because of all the chaos. I mean, people come, they drink.
I mean, you
in
have
your
to write
home.
exams and
in
study.
your home, you can't study, you can't do anything. So I felt I need to do better. So my dream has always been, I must make it in life. And I defined success, by the way, for myself way back. And my definition of success back then, obviously, was I need to get better, I need to study, I need to delay all these things that are distractions. One of them is having children, for instance, because back then, you remember, I don't know if you remember, back then, by about when people are 18, 19, they have children back then.
Yeah, they start being sexually active.
And I felt, I don't want to do that for myself.
Yeah.
I want to do it better. So that's why I delayed having a child. I only had a child when I was 26, and that's old.
It's a very decent age.
I felt I need to do this right, and if I need to do this right, I need to do it my way. So my description and my description of success was that I need to make sure that I study, I delay everything else that's going to be a distraction so that I can then stand on my 2 feet and go back and help my
because
family
you
in
could
society.
already see.
I could
that-
see the chaos. I could see the chaos, and it wasn't worth it for me.
Sure. For anyone who has never come across you or doesn't know what you do, and someone bumps into you and say, hey, Dr. Doreen, what do you do? I know you're a doctor, but what would you say you do?
I would say one of the things that I really, really describe, or when I define myself as that person who wants to lift others as she climbs. That's me. So I'm a mentor, by the way. One of the things that I do, I mentor others, I coach others as well. But one of my definitions of myself is that I exist. I feel my purpose is for me to be able to lift others as I climb. That's my purpose in life. So my purpose is to, one of the things that I'm really getting to remember about myself now, back in the day, I didn't know until I wrote the book, by the way. I didn't know that actually one of my preoccupations is to get people to understand their dreams, to set their paths, and then go and fetch their dreams. I don't say you chasing dreams, because if you're chasing, you chase. You can chase until you're shot and blue in the face. But if you're going out there, you're chasing those dreams, chase until you fetch them and bring them back. And then transform yourself and transform your society and transform Africa and the world afterwards. So when I define myself, I then say, I exist in order for others to learn from the path that I've traveled.
Yeah.
But also I exist in order for me to be able to help people define their dreams, identify their dreams, and set their goals in order to go and fetch their dreams. That's my definition of what I do.
So you are a personal and professional coach and mentor,
Yes.
life coach.
Not formally, but I've been coaching others all my life throughout my career.
But it's hard to get to understand someone's personal dreams without getting into them personally. So you end up
Definitely.
becoming that.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Now we need to talk about this education because, wow. Masters in Management and Public Development Management. It's a PNDM in Adverts. You have various qualifications in leadership, advanced management, reputation management from Stanford University, and a PhD. Is a lot. Oh, no life.
I haven't had a life for so long. I'm only trying to live my life now, by the way, as I grow older.
You know, this is amazing because just looking at the certificates and the empowering subjects you took and the masters and the PhD, I feel like you always knew that you want to be a boss.
Yes, I have actually.
I've
always wanted to be a boss. Because I've had bosses along the way.
Yeah.
And sometimes I look at the bosses, I'm like, is this how bosses should behave? Because some bosses behave some kind of way.
Let's not start.
I've always thought I wanted to be a boss because I wanted to show people that you can be a boss, but lead with purpose, lead with empathy. Because one of the things I've always, as a leader, as a woman leader, I actually did women in leadership at some point.
Yes.
Yes,
you
so
did.
before I did that women in leadership, I wanted to redefine myself. Because I've been a leader for so long before I got to that course. But I felt I wanted to perfect leading as a woman. Because I've always believed that there are leaders and there are women leaders, right? And when you talk women leaders, you're talking those people who innately have within themselves
To nurture.
that drive to naturally, we're natural nurturers.
Yeah.
But I then wanted to make sure that as a natural nurturer, how do I then professionalize it? So that's why I did women in leadership. Because I wanted to get into the psyche of all these women who are supposed to be leading, just ensure that they actually lead with empathy as well. Because people have this understanding that if you're a boss, you need to boss people around. But that's not it. If you're a boss, it means you lead, right? And it means you're able then to turn around and be led as well. That's the part people forget when they're leaders.
Yes,
Yeah.
true. I don't want to generalize it. Let's speak about just women alone. I also have been trying to come up. I'm still coming up. And one of my worst experiences has definitely been in the hands of a woman boss. That woman, ne? Ngesikhosa kuthiwa ndibonise abantu wandishwabanisa. And I was young and ndabona uba andisemncinci ndiyagezeleka apha. There is a very huge dynamic of how women treat other women, specifically in the workplace, over the smallest things. Oh, you think you are pretty, I'm going to treat you badly. Oh, you think you are smart, ndizakubeka endaweni yakho. Oh, tatakho ngubani bani, ungacingi uba kukokwenu. But it's a lot.
Yeah.
You went through that and you were like, you want to make a difference.
So I've been very fortunate, Siti. I've really been very fortunate because I've been nurtured by women for the longest time in my career. When I started off at the University of Fort Hare, when I worked there as a library assistant, the librarian was a woman when I got in. She left and handed over to another woman as well. So, and the deputy librarian was a woman. So women were bosses within the library, even as I started off my career at the University of Fort Hare. And I've been fortunate because I have been led by women who understand that leadership is leadership, should not be defined by your hormones. Leadership should not be defined by how you want to oppress others, you know. So I've really been very fortunate. But I guess if we trivialize it, really, we break it down and we trivialize it. As women, we always feel in order for us to be impactful in our jobs, we need to behave like men. I'm literally breaking it down now, and I'm making it so trivial. That's how other women behave. But I think over time, I learned that that's not the mentality women should adopt. Because women should be leaders in their own right as women. We don't have to emulate men in order to be effective or impactful leaders. So the women who get into leadership positions in order to spite others, or who make it their mission to spite others, I just feel they haven't arrived yet.
Nah.
They really haven't arrived yet. Because the aim is to make sure that there are as many women as possible out there. Because if you think about it, women can be very impactful. So I feel those who lead in order to oppress others are really missing the point. And then they're missing an opportunity. They're missing great opportunities of ensuring that we double in numbers
Yes.
in order for us to go out there and be part of a changing world as we want to see it ourselves.
Yeah. I didn't think I would spend time on this, but then about triggered. Because I haven't had someone expressing how intentional you are to be a good boss to someone. Because yes, siyazibona kule misebenzi.
Kunzima.
Yo,
Kunzima,
we see
kunzima.
these young kids that are
Kunzima.
interns, they are in
Kunzima.
horrible hands
Kunzima.
out there.
I think, Siti, one of the things that I always say when I mentor others, I always say it's always good. For instance, let's start with building teams, right?
Yeah.
So you have a couple of interns coming in. You have junior managers within your scope. I always say, surround yourself with people who are potentially better than yourself. Because if you do, when they look good, you look good too.
Yes.
And I think that's the point that other leaders
And they
miss.
sharpen your knife and your
They
mind.
do. You are kept on your toes as a leader. And remember, as a leader, you don't have all the answers, by the way. Even people around you, people who are supporting you, are actually, some of them are experts within their own fields. So if you have a team, for instance, if you have that team, even if it's young, I look at the upcoming leaders. I look at the young ones now. They are driven, they are purposeful, they are intentional about so many things. They have confidence, they are self-reliant. I look at them and I feel, if we work towards sharpening them and ensuring that they are better leaders than ourselves, we will leave this country and the world, by the way, in a better place.
And they have a great entrepreneurial spirit. They don't want to be
You can't
employed.
beat them. You cannot beat them.
I admire that.
You can be. So actually, maybe I should bring up this example.
Yeah.
There's a woman called Nozipho Shabalala.
Yeah.
You might know him. Nozipho was an intern to former Deputy President Phumzile Mlamangcuka. She literally came in after finishing her first degree at UP, junior degree at UP. She majored in economics, political science, I think, and international relations. She had international relations in the
Yes.
mix. So she came in as an intern. And when she came in as an intern, to Deputy President, former Deputy President at the time. But because Deputy President is not an administrator,
Yeah.
she was entrusted in my care and others around
Yes.
us. So I then used to say, Kunozipho, we can't bring you here. She was an intern in the presidency, remember? I kept saying, we can't bring you here to come and make tea and coffee for us. We can't bring you here to make photocopies for us. We must give you responsibilities. We must give you projects that you can manage, because this is your test. You only have a year to pull this through. You only have 1 year to pull it through. And if we don't empower you so that beyond this year you are able to go and stand up on your own 2 feet, we shall have failed you. So this is my call to all the people who have interns out there. If you have an intern, don't subject them to making copies. I know some intern may take advantage of what I'm saying now and feel, but it's not about that. Remember, this thing is a two-way.
Yeah.
You have people who are looking after you as an intern, but you have yourself as well who's pouring out.
Yes.
So there must be that balance, and that balance must be healthy, so that you don't feel you don't want to do anything. Tea and coffee is part of it. But then I'm saying beyond the tea and coffee, just make sure that your interns are sharpened so that by the time they finish their internship, they are able to hold on and hold their own in their jobs.
No, that's how it should be anyway. That's how it should be.
But some people miss the point, which is unfortunate. They miss
do.
opportunities, which
do.
is unfortunate.
I mean, today, for example, when you speak about having worked hold high offices in the presidency for 14 years, when you speak about being a government official to young people right now, they think that ubungena options. Okanye, why would you choose that for yourself type of thing? Let's talk about your experience there and what you think that 14 years did for you as a person.
The 14 years transformed. Firstly, I got into the presidency in 1999. So that was still deep in post apartheid era,
Yes.
right? So in the new dispensation, I get into the presidency, which just started in 1994, right? Started with Dad Mandela, who then took. I literally came in a year after Tatu Mbeki took in. So former President Mbeki takes over the office, and then I come in the following year.
Yes.
So when I came in, we're still trying to build the state post apartheid era. So I came in at the time that we were all learning, right? So I came into a fairly senior position, because I came in as a personal assistant to the deputy president, and that's a fairly senior.
It is.
They are the most senior PA within the deputy president's
Yes.
office. And if you think about it, there's the president's office, there's the deputy president's office. At the time, there were just those two offices. The ministers came after, but those two offices at the time. So you had a PA to the president, you had a PA to the deputy president doing the same thing. I mean, they were on par, same positions and everything. It's just that the other one's in the president's office and I was in the deputy president's office. But the way those positions transformed Mid-City, I came into the presidency without knowing too much about government. I was in the Department of Education for 3 years, and there's a specific line function.
Yeah.
We're in charge of it. I came in as minister. Ben was a minister. He was in charge of the ministry at the time. Then he transitioned into Kara Asmal. I left just after Professor Kara Asmal had taken office, so I came to the presidency. So those years in education and my earlier years in the presidency, I was still in transition myself. My mind was still in transition.
Learning.
I was trying to really understand my role in the greater scheme of things and all. But those years for me, I mean, if I combine the 14 years in the presidency now, I'm talking about 14 years of office within the 4 administrations, because I served 4 deputy presidents, as we said. But I did so many different things that I know now, sitting here, that I've contributed towards making South Africa a better place, right? So whether it is a better place now or not, but at least I've had some contribution towards it as well. And that's a personal pride if you think about it.
Yeah.
And where people say, why do you subject yourself to that? It's good to subject yourself to that kind of, because presidents particularly, because it's not a line function,
Yeah.
it's a melting point of all the line function departments.
Yes.
So it gives you leverage over everybody. It gives you leverage of all the government departments.
You have
the work
insight
of,
on
so
everyone, yeah.
exactly. So you have insight, but also because you sit in that office, it helps you if you don't abuse the power, because those are powerful positions, by the way. If you don't abuse your power, you use it correctly, it transforms service delivery within South Africa.
People will say, oh no, but you can do so much better. I mean, public service is not easy to do.
People don't know. So there's always been this joke, particularly in the corporates, that civil servants, they don't know what they're doing. Civil servants are lazy. Civil servants, they walk in with their jackets, they put their jackets, then
And
they
leave at
disappear.
lunch.
And people have no idea. Maybe there are those who do that. I was never part of that cohort. I've always been working hard. I've always been part of the solutions
Yeah.
through the work that I've done in the public service. And when I left the public service into the private sector, actually, I used all the experience I'd gained over time. And it helped me in the corporates that I've worked in, corporates and NGOs that I've worked in.
Yeah. And you leave eventually. You leave. I'm sure they were not okay, because I think one thing about working in the public sector, you don't want to lose those people that were there from the beginning, because we need the Doreens of this world to teach the people that are coming in. But the world calls, and you were at Adcock, Ingram, you were at AB InBev, holding senior positions with public affairs, corporate and legal affairs. How was that journey? Also the transition, because I'm noticing now private companies are seeing the importance of having a specialist, the middle person between private sector and the government. who helps them understand that,
True.
okay, don't approach this like this. This is what the public policy, this is how you approach things. Tell us about that transition for you, and how's the catch up like for you?
I know we're going to talk about my book later.
Yes.
And I narrate this better in my book.
Okay.
I know we'll talk about it a bit later. But I left public service after 17 years, went into the private sector. The transition was huge. The transition was scary. One, I was scared. So the decision between the time I left and the time I got into the private sector, I literally said to myself, I've been in a policy formulation environment all my life, all my career life. I wanted to be on the other side now to see how the execution goes, because there's always been talks about the gaps of public policy.
Always.
We have the best policies in South Africa, but the execution sucks. And I wanted to understand that, and I wanted to be part of the solution. That you have the best policies, but how then do you transition into execution? And how to hold people accountable for executing these policies? And remember, public policy is structured within government and parliament and all the spheres of government. But then when you come to execution, the execution happens within the sectors themselves. So that's the private sector and NGOs. So I wanted to transition into the environments where the public policies that have been put in place and the execution, and see these gaps. And look at them through the eyes of public service, by the way, and ensuring that whichever private sector I would join, I would ensure that they do things right. Because I understand the purpose of these policies, and I understand the will of these policies. So when we execute, what are the gaps? So I wanted to be part of that. That's why I left the public sector, because I felt I've done my duty as a public servant. I now wanted to be on the other side. And that transition was painful, because I wasn't used to the type of deadlines the private sector introduces. It introduced to me. I was used to people taking time and things taking time. And one of the criticisms I got when I first joined, particularly at Cocking was that, here, you must just make sure that you are in the thick of things and you understand that things move, right? When I got into the private sector, I was amazed at how quickly decisions are taken. You would literally take a decision, walk into the bathroom. You're walking towards the coolers, and you meet the CEO, and it's like, oh yeah, you remember that? Okay, no, this is how we'll do it. And it gives a decision immediately.
And it changes now.
And the decision in the private sector doesn't lie with 10 people, right? In the public sector, there's a submission that moves tables. In the private sector, is if you are in a senior position that I was an executive, it moves from your desk direct to the CEO and then to the board. So there's no red tape.
That must have been refreshing, though.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful, but I went through that. When I came in, Adco Kingdom was very good to me. I think they recognized that, this one hasn't been around in the private sector, so they got me a mentor.
That's great.
So when I joined, they got me a mentor who tried to keep him is late. And that guy was amazing. He was a seasoned leader. He worked at ESCOM for the longest time. And he understood politics because he was politically astute as well. So the balance, the political and the executive, for me, was a very nice balance because the political side of things I understood. The public sector side of things I understood, but the corporate sector was a pain for me and I was very impatient because I wanted to understand things now and move now. So Ukepi helped me balance and ground myself
a bit faster.
in order for me to be able, because he said, there's no use in trying to be quick to understand these things and run quickly. First ground yourself in order for you to be able to, by the time you start, you can then sprint. So there was a very beautiful transition for me. It was tough because I had doubts. I knew that I can do this, but I was like, okay, now I'm responsible. I'm no longer just contributing. I'm responsible. So it was a very painful transition, but I'm glad I did it because what I had set out to do in the 4.5 years I was in Adco Kingdom, I managed. And when I moved into SAP, it was for SAP, the transition was easier. Because already I was in the private sector. So I understood the dynamics of the private sector. I understood my purpose because I could locate one of the things that that happen when you are a public servant for so long. You struggle to kind of get your purpose in the private sector and to get your mindset right. So Adcock Ingram for me, I think, was that platform for me to learn and understand. So by the time I did other things, now I did amazing things. I was involved in amazing work. I was involved in work that really changed lives. I mean, in SAP, in Adcock Ingram, one of my two responsibilities I had was to bring Adcock Ingram to government and people out there, and bring people and government into Adcock Ingram. So those were my two missions. And by the time I left, I think I had done a pretty good job at that because the results were showing. The results could tell. Anybody who was in my portfolio at the time, public affairs, they could tell that work has been done, and I left a legacy in Adcock. When I went to the SAP was quite different because SAP, remember SAP, the social license to trade within the liquor or alcohol industry is a bit tricky. So SAP for me, it was a beautiful experience because it's a global company. It taught me so much. But
heading up for Africa.
I was heading up Africa, entire Africa. I was heading up 13 countries at the time. It was a beautiful, amazing experience. But the alcohol industry itself is a hot potato when it comes to social cohesion and stuff. So I worked in an environment, I needed to make sure that as much as SAP is a corporate that contributes towards the revenues in this country and everything, I had to balance us as an organization, as a company that exists to be in business, and us as a company that has a product that's a bit tricky when it comes to social cohesion. So that's the balance that was a bit tricky to achieve at the time. And especially public policy or government for that matter, when it comes to alcohol, because people misuse alcohol.
All the time.
They don't use alcohol for what it's meant. Alcohol is meant to just enforce happiness.
And relax.
Just relax and be happy amongst yourselves and stuff.
No, we don't want to be relaxed in South Africa. We want to be destroyed.
Yeah, that's the thing. So that was it. Yeah.
You mentioned it, and I want to bring it up. 2 words: imposter syndrome. It's a real thing.
It is.
Where you even get a job and you're like, oh my God, this is so big. Has been applying. It
is. It's a big thing.
How do you handle that? How do you manage that? How do you teach your students and your people that you mentor that?
It's tricky. And imposter syndrome, other people think imposter syndrome gets you when you're in the boardrooms and stuff. Imposter syndrome gets you in your bedroom. When you're sitting there alone, it's like, oh my God, this is me.
That's my inside.
So you wake up every day and you're like, will I be able, I talk about it in my book, will I be able to measure up? Will I be able to do this? Am I the right person for this? When I applied in Adcock, for instance, I'd applied for a managerial position. But my CV, and I guess when I did the interview, the 2 people who interviewed me at Adcock Ingram were like, yo, if we get her to come here as a manager, she's gonna be gone within 3 months. So I think one of the good things they did for me was to ensure that I was placed correctly. And in the end, at Adcock Ingram, I became a board appointee.
Yes.
Because then the board said, we need a different drive, we need a different strategy in order for us as a company to survive and sustain ourselves. So as much as I'd applied for a managerial position, I was then appointed as an executive, which is rare. Because
doing both now?
No, I had to be an executive, then I had managers.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
So I came in, I applied for a managerial position, but because the need was too vast in Adcock Ingram at the time, they believed that they needed to take Adcock from here and put it here at this level. So they felt I'm the right person to take it to this level. So that's where my imposter syndrome at the time was at the peak. Because I thought, I don't even know how to be an executive. I don't even know how to be a ManCom member. I don't even know. So I think in Adcock, for me, part of what really helped me is to have that mentor. Because that's the guy who helped me channel. But also because I'm a highly driven person. I'm a go-getter. I've been blessed because I've been a top achiever wherever I go. So I took that and I was like, imposter syndrome out the window. We have work to do now.
Dilapha
So-
ngoku, khawume.
that's exactly what really helped me because I was like, okay, I come from a village, right? I am probably among the first 10 within my environment that I
This
hear.
was not in my dreams.
I have to do this. I have to do this,
Yeah.
right? But also from a very, I'm young in my career, I knew that the dreams and hopes of others are on my shoulders as well.
Yeah.
I think that really helped me because I felt this is not just me walking into the presidency. This is the people walking into the presidency. So I have a responsibility to them. This is not me becoming an executive. And I have to make sure that as the people who are moving into executive positions now, this is not me walking into a global company. As the people who are moving into a global company
Yeah,
now,
it's
so that's
not
a
just about
responsibility.
me.
It's not that about me. It's a responsibility that we must carry. So I literally carried myself with pride. I carried myself with so much. My responsibility levels have always been. I've always been a very alert person. I've always been a very self-conscious person as well.
Self-aware too.
Self-aware, self-sufficient as well, because I've always thought, if I don't, one of the good things about me is that when I don't know, I don't sit and cry. I go out and I go and look for answers. And I've been groomed. I've been lucky to have one of my role models is Sispumzile Mlamungudi.
Yes.
I've been lucky
She's
to
really great.
I've been lucky to be groomed by people like her. Where she says, Maqela asiyazi sonke ngoku, but we must just go out and find
Find the
out.
answer.
So she really helped me because I had always, when I was a young leader, I'd always thought, leaders are supposed to have all the answers.
No, they
and
don't.
then I got exposure and then I studied and then I was like, oh, actually, no, we don't. And when we don't know, we mustn't be scared to say we don't know.
And also, education is not just to educate you, but to teach you how to go look for answers.
Exactly.
It's not because une PhD ngoku.
Hey, Shimshana.
Sizawuva ngawe.
And it's also not because,
Thina sithi lo une-PhD makasixelele uba siphuma njani kule nto.
but the pressure that comes with PhD care, as I experienced it, is that you walk into a room and people call you doctor, and immediately people change. The attitude changes, and the expectations are that high. So I think a responsibility
That's
all of us have is that, one, we need to be humble. Because we need to be humble about it. PhD is the highest academic achievement, but PhD is not meant to get you to feel that you're on top of the world and everybody else is down there.
Well, on paper, it is the ceiling.
On paper, it is a ceiling, but then if you look at it as a tool, as a transformation tool.
Yeah.
So PhD is meant to transform the way you think. It's meant to transform your worldview. It's meant to so PhD gives you, it opens a lot of doors for you.
Yes, it
I don't
does.
want to lie.
Yeah.
It opens a lot of doors for you. But
it does.
what we do as PhD holders, we must remember that we're accountable. We must just be accountable. You mustn't sit there because you have a title, you'll be like, oh yeah, I'm a doctor. No. You must be accountable to yourself first, and then you must be accountable to others around you so that together you can change the world.
But you had a nice acknowledgement. Most influential woman in business and government. I know it was a long time ago.
I didn't think you'd get to that.
I try. Most influential women in business and in government in Africa and SADC by CEO Global in 2017.
Already 2017. Yes.
How did that make you feel?
Sure.
How did they find you?
I asked them so many questions because I was like, hang on, how did I get here?
Are you sure it's me?
I was asking, I actually got my PA to call them. I said, please call them. Then they unpacked how they do the votes and how they do this. So they take your profile, they look into your profile, and they dig. Right? They dig in your work, they dig into your position, they dig into the things that you do around yourself, the projects and stuff. So, and I credit this to the presidency, because in the presidency I traveled a lot within the African continent and globally.
Yes.
So they literally looked at almost everything I did in almost all the countries that I've been to. I didn't know they would do this. So one of the things that happened is that because I'm a community builder by nature, right? I started community development, by the way. And when I started it, I came out with cum laude because that's how serious I am about community development.
You were in it.
Yes, I
Yes.
live it. I live it. So CEO Global, when they explained this to me, when they explained how they get this together and they contribute, every contribution you've made, and then they measure that, I was like, oh, okay, now I understand. Because when you are in government, one of the advantages, especially in the senior positions in government, and especially when you sit in the presidency, you have a latitude. You have so many doors opening for you.
Exposure is endless.
And if you use it correctly, you are then able to do the work and be as impactful as I want to understand and believe that I've been.
Yes.
Which is why I would then be awarded those accolades.
You forgot about it. Serious.
I actually didn't think you'd get to it, because
Yeah.
it's one of those things I look back and I'm like, if I live my life through accolades like this, it's easier for me to believe that I've arrived. So one of the things I try to do always, I try to remain humble.
Yes.
And I try to remain grounded. But I try to remember that these accolades, as much as they're important, but they shouldn't define who I become. Because I believe, well, you may say, okay, I'm a doctor, but I believe I'm still becoming. So it's accolades like this and qualifications and all the things that I've done that should actually help me, that ground me, and help me continue to think
Keep
I need to
going.
keep going. I am
going.
becoming. When you get to my book, you'll see how I
Yes.
define it.
You start this PhD and
that's
ubomi
it.
bomile. You didn't just start the PhD, you take an acting CEO position at Love Life. Why did you take that position and how did that go?
Okay, maybe just quickly on the PhD. So I'm sitting in the middle of COVID, by the way. COVID just started. We had 6 businesses, 5 died during COVID.
Yeah.
So 5 businesses died during COVID. I'm sitting there, I'm stressed every day. I wake up and I sleep.
This
and
is
I'm
now
thinking,
under your personal business,
Yes, yes.
DK VIP projects.
yes, in DKs.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, because we started businesses in 2015 and 2016. So we're building the portfolio. So when SAP decided that we needed to strengthen our visibility in South Africa.
Yeah.
So we needed to they needed to convert that portfolio. So instead of it being Africa, they needed someone to look after South Africa, because the South African environment was tricky. I was much more trickier to manage than all the other markets within Africa. So they then gave me an option. So there were 2 options. They said, we're going to transform this portfolio. If you want to remain in this portfolio full time, by all means, we're not going to change anything. We're not going to change your salary. We're not going to change your conditions of service, but you'll just service South Africa. If I not do it as a consultant, you're more than welcome to do that as well. Because I told them that when I went into SAP, I told them that I was giving them 5 years. Because after 5 years, I wanted to go into business full time.
Yeah.
So they knew my aim. So they said, okay, if you want, we can then convert it into a consultancy, so that you are then able to transition into your business quicker if you want to do that. So I opted for that, obviously. So I opted for that. I left full time. 2019, I got into my business, into our family business full time. Then I started running. 2020, literally a year, and I could tell that the business is growing. There's so many amazing things that we were going to achieve.
Yeah.
Right at the core of me transforming our business, then COVID hit.
You had to wait a minute.
COVID said, slow down. I think
Sure.
ubaleka ngamandla, khawubuye lapha ezantsi. So 2020 comes, right? Then March 2020, COVID hits us. All of us are uncertain. So many things happen. Fast forward, by July, you remember, because then there was a lull, and then July, the country said, okay, we can open to some extent and see where this thing is taking us.
But the damage was already
done.
Yeah.
So by the time we got to September-ish, I could tell that I was going to go crazy. So I lost income from March to August. And in September, I was picked up by someone who then gave me a consultancy. Then I was able, my life could continue. But in 2021, I then thought, no, I'm going to go crazy. let me start, because I get very jittery and I get very impatient when my life is
Ungena
stagnant.
deadlines is
When my
also
life is
good.
stagnant, I get so impatient. Because I have so much energy.
Yes.
And my brain wants to continue doing something. So I felt, okay, if I sit here and I think about the business that I've lost and all the debts and stuff, I'm gonna go crazy. Let me just do something that's gonna stimulate my mind.
And love
And
life comes knocking.
even before Love Life, then I registered for PhD. Did the PhD
Yes.
alongside being a consultant. I finished that. 2023, I graduated as a PhD holder. Then Love Life luckily knocks, because then I'm chairperson of the board of Love Life, and within Love Life we're looking for a CEO that we had just left, so we're looking for a CEO. Then the board decided that while we are looking for a CEO, looking for someone to caretake, so be our caretaker until we find a candidate. So I was an
Yeah.
acting CEO at Love Life for 7 months, and then in August 2024 we then found a CEO. Then we're able
Yeah.
to. But during all that time, so I was acting CEO while I was running my business at the time, and it was a consultancy more than anything back then, because the business itself, the active businesses, there's just only one now that remains in Gqeberha. We own a guest house in Gqeberha, and it's got full-time tenants.
Yes.
So there's nothing to look after every day there.
Yeah,
But
anymore.
so I'm still trying to look for opportunities now, because I feel I've come down and I did breathe. So from next year, I'm gonna actively look for business opportunities again.
You come down and you say, wait a minute, ndifuna ubhala incwadi.
Hey, that okay. So that's my pride. that's my pride,
The
City,
book
because
is called From Village Dreams to Global Ambitions. Chronicles of
oh
my
my
life, your
goodness,
pride and joy.
this is my pride and joy. What makes this book special is that I'm chronicling. It's literally a narrative of my life, right? If you take this copy and you read from cover to cover, you'd know me. The things we were talking about, you'd find all of them here.
Undigqibile, basically.
There's nothing.
Uyandazi.
But I think the most important thing that I really want to say about this book is that I had been planning to write a book since 2019, by the way. Unozipho, the Unozipho I spoke about earlier.
Yes.
Unozipho Shabalala. I told Unozipho in 2019 that I'm actually I'm gonna start writing my book. And she said, I'll hold you accountable.
Did you know what about though? Or you just wanted to write a book?
I knew I wanted to write a journey about my life, because
Yes.
I've always felt I have a story to tell, one, but I've always felt through my story I can save lives. There are people through my journey who are going to take this copy, read it, and be like, wait a minute, if she can achieve her dreams, so can I.
So it's a book about hope.
It's a book about hope.
Dreams.
It's an inspirational book. It's a motivational book. It's about dreams. This book, central message, if you take a copy of this book and you read it, if anything, one message you must take is that your origin must never determine your destination. So where you end up in life, you must never feel, I'm from village, I'm from the dusty streets of
People
Anshaw.
like me don't come out from here.
They don't.
Uba
But
nofana nam okhe wayenza le nto.
I always, Sid, when I was planning this book, so one of the things about the book, I believe, when I was planning to write this book, I struggled to narrow my audience down, because I felt a couple of people agree when I keep saying to them, I feel my life has layers. You peel and you get another layer. You peel and you get another layer. So balancing these layers and ensuring that you pull a story together is one of the things that I took time in doing. I took time to plan for this book. I had a title, by the way. So before I got to this title,
Different from this one.
Slightly different from this one. And then I have a friend, Umpo Ngozi.
Yes.
Umpo is my sister. She's been my sister for years. I then shared that book title with her. She looked at it and she wrote me a message. She's like, DK, this title doesn't do justice to you.
It's not the
It's
one.
not you. So this one is not the one. It just to change it. And I said, oh, okay, so if you believe that this book doesn't do justice to me, give me a title that you think does justice to me. And she said, oh, no, I'm not a doctor, you are. So figure it out. Umpo.
That sounds like
And she
her.
said, oh, yeah, no, figure it out. You're a doctor, I'm not. And I was like, it's got nothing to do with doctors. She said, no. I knew you can come up with a beautiful title.
You can do better.
So just go back to the drawing board. So I went out to the drawing board, and this is the title I came up with. I'm so proud of this title because it's so self-explanatory.
You see the title, and I automatically know what to expect. By the way,
That's the beauty about this book.
it's not, you don't need to you can discover the story, but just
Yes.
on the title alone,
You know exactly
you
what
know
to
what you
anticipate.
what you're going to get.
But
Yeah.
what's beautiful about this story, City, is that you look at the title and you know the story, but then you read the story, you see yourself in the story. So this book is so relatable. So many people have read it, they're like, yo, I can see my own kids in the story. I can see you from the story. But I think the blessings that I've had throughout my career, by the time I got to this title, because I had planned my life, I surrounded myself with people who would help me get to my destination. And I always say, while doing that, I have been pouring out as well to them because I understand that this thing is a two-way street. They pour out to me and I pour out into their own lives as well. So you look at this story and you feel, no, man, but this is me. I started working in a factory as a PA to a factory manager, right? And I think so many people have been through that.
Yeah.
So if you want to progress in life, I have tips in this book. So and what's nice about this book, Sid, is that I'm not talking about things that are from textbooks. I've read textbooks, I've been through life, I've seen everything. But what's nice about this book is that these are my personal experiences. I've tried and tested so many things.
Look, thing is about personal things. You're not saying inje. You're just saying this is
I have
what
done- this is me.
and you take what you take from it.
This is me,
and what
yeah.
applies to you. Who's been your sounding board? I mean, writing a book is such an emotionally taxing. Uphupha nangayo. You wake up at night. You drive. Who's been your sounding board? How did your writing process go?
Before I get to the sounding board, I my home front was such a mess, because my husband, Utad Kosi, keeps saying to me, the way you like harassing yourself.
Let
He
me
had
keep
been there.
quiet.
He had been there. He had been there in my life. I mean, we've been married for 26 years now, by the way.
I know.
And he keeps saying, the way you like harassing yourself, awuthanda uxolo when it comes to you.
Awufuna
Awufuna uphumza le ngqondo yakho.
Ufuna uba
And like,
ne-stress.
no, man. I just think I have so much to give. Let me do these things while I still can, while I still have the energy, when I can still dream, when I can still do this. So he's been my first sounding board. So as I write a chapter, I go back to him and I'm like, let me read it out to you. What do you think? He says, oh, your book is so stiff. What do you mean my book is so stiff? Says, yeah, no, your book is so stiff. So this is the thing. But the glory, then the beauty about him is that we come from the same area.
Okay.
So most of the things, and some of the people I talk about are people that he knows.
He
has met.
knows,
He
yeah.
knows. So he was my first sounding board. My daughter, Useso Kosi. Useso is one of those people who are going to say, in a quiet way, Useso is very quiet, most, her. In a quiet way, she's going to be like, I think you're overhyping here. But what do you mean over? And I'm like, I know, Mama, tone it down here. So I've had moments where in my sounding board session, I toned down. I've had
Okay.
then I've had my editor. My editor is amazing. Nicholas Spanda is amazing. That guy.
When during this process now do you bring on an editor?
I finished. When I finished my
you
book,
bring in-
when the manuscript was ready,
Yes.
I then looked for an editor. I looked for editors. They were expensive. Then I got him. He actually edited my thesis as well. So I got to him. His brother, Onyxin, says, oh, try my brother. I'm like, oh, yeah, actually, he edited my thesis. He says, I'll try him. I know he's busy, but maybe he can do something. So I speak to him, and he's like, yes, bring it on. So I give him the manuscript first time. He sits with it for about a month and a half, close to 2 months.
Quiet, no feedback.
No. He would feedback. He would say like, yeah, I'm on chapter 2. I'm on chapter. He would give feedback, but he didn't give proper feedback to say this is what I think, until it finished the story. So I finished the story. But what I found beautiful in that experience, I've had people fighting with their editors. I've had people changing editors because I'm told some editors feel like they want to own the story.
Yes.
Nick, what he says is that
And
this is your
change your
book.
voice to
Yes.
sound like their advice.
He says, this is your book, this is your story. My job is to enable you to tell it in a way that's going to resonate with others. So when you tell your story, I provide technical advice and guidance. That's all I do. I remember this one. I always tell him that because I had not met him at the time. So we finished this book without us meeting. I only met him after in one of these sessions when we were launching the book. So in one of the sessions, he says, "So he take my manuscript." He says, "This sounds like a thesis."
You, not submission.
He says, "This sounds like a thesis." Luckily, he had edited my thesis, and he said, "This sounds like a thesis." But it
Where
doesn't.
is Doreen in the
He
book?
doesn't end there. He says, your story is so rich, it's such a beautiful story, but you need to tell it your way. You need to tell it in a way that's going to be amazing. He says, this story is so rich. And then it starts chapter 1. And then it tells me what would make it sound better.
I can't wait to read. I'm going to read it
It's
tonight.
such a beautiful story, even if I say so myself.
Yeah.
This guy, the way he transformed this story city, so there are places I know I would never have gotten to. I was born out of a single parent. My father denied responsibility a long time ago. It's in the books, no longer a secret. Well, it has never been a secret, but I never liked talking about it because it triggered me in some way.
Writing a
It
book
triggered me in some way.
raises old wounds.
So this guy says, when you write a book, especially a biography, you are opening yourself up to the world. And if you open yourself up to the world, you must do it all the way. You can't hold back.
Yeah.
But you telling your story, you narrating your story your way. That's the only difference. So he says, okay, you speak about your mother, you speak about your aunt, you speak about your uncles. Where's your father at this point?
He's
And I'm
correct.
like, Oputatam, aye man.
And
Do you want us to
Fumi.
go there? And it says, if you spoke about your mother and teenage, I have a section that talks about teenage pregnancy. And it says, if you tackle teenage pregnancy, then you must counter, you must bring. We need to know. The world
He's
needs to know.
not wrong.
So I thought about it, City, and I was like, okay. So I asked him, how far can I go? He said, go all the way. I'm like, okay. So what you'd see in this book, I spotlight my father. I know it's a very silly thing to do.
Hi,
I spotlight my father. I tell it as it is.
Yeah.
It's raw. But somebody who gave me a review said, that story of teenage pregnancy, my mother's teenage pregnancy, and spotlighting my father, if you combine them, they are such a beautiful lesson for men in South Africa, or in Africa for that matter, African men in general. Or just men under general, not just African. He says it's such an important lesson for men. So I'm not going to tell you much more.
Yeah.
Read the book.
Yes, I
Read the
will
book.
read. And life takes you full circle. Presidency relaunches their book club and they say, Sifuna wena,
That was amazing.
come home and do a soft launch of your book.
Oh, that was
How did
amazing.
that go?
That was amazing. I literally hijacked. I had asked the presidency to come and talk about the book. The president said, oh, actually, we are relaunching our book club. So come be part of the story. And you're one of our own anyway. So what better way to do this? I was like, yeah. So I went to the presidency on the 4th of December, which was
Yes.
an anniversary,
Yes.
26th anniversary. And I had the most amazing time where I was, so they were relaunching, so the departments of wellness and their library, their information center, they were relaunching their book club. And then in relaunching their book club, I then brought my book in order for us to have an engagement about my book, which was an amazing experience. It felt so good to go back to where it all started.
Yes.
Because that's where it all began.
I think-
So that full
yeah.
circle was just so amazing.
Definitely.
It was so amazing,
Definitely
Sid,
full
because
circle.
I didn't realize that the current president, Cyril Ramaphosa, says, let's go back to basics, guys. We can't be a nation that doesn't read. We can't be a nation that doesn't take literacy seriously. So it was the backdrop was really that.
Yeah.
That the presidency has just made a call on illiteracy, guys. It's
Yes.
important. So I've always known that books are important, but I now know that when you're part of the solution, it feels so amazing. So it's amazing to have have done my first launch, soft launch in the presidency of this book. I'm going to do another launch hopefully in February when we come back. I couldn't do a formal launch of the book because we lost a relative. We lost, and my husband lost an uncle, so we had to bury my
Yes,
uncle.
yes.
And within 3 months, we can't do celebrations.
Yeah, you
So we're
can't.
likely to do a launch in February, but I will definitely pump it out there so people would know about the
Ndim
launch.
nayo namhlanje
It's such an amazing book, Teddy, because
I
it gives you
will.
so
I
many,
will
it gives you
read.
so many, these layers that are in the book. If you want values, for one of the biggest thing in this book is values. It's the values I lived by. I even have a section. So I told you that I'm from a village, a dusty village. I'm from, I was raised by 2 women, single parents. I was raised by uncles and aunts within my family. But one of the most important things for me is that I believe that the values that were at the time instilled in me when I was still young, I carried them throughout.
They
Even in
saved
my
your
leadership,
life.
even in my leadership,
They
I
saved your
use those
life.
values. When all else fails me, I go back and I say, what would my mother say? And what would my aunt say? When I ask myself those questions, I'm like, ground yourself, Doreen, you're not that important here. So those values, I bring them back. It's such an amazing book. Man, I don't know what else to tell you.
Mrs. K.
It's such an amazing book. Well, I always thought, I'm not an author. When I was starting this book, I'm not an author. But, I don't know, we call it ntsisakalelo. I had this thing, man. I had this thing that this book, no, man, this book. So it's gonna save. It's gonna save.
Yes.
And the second book that's in editing already.
Wow.
Second book because I had all
Your
the time.
husband was right.
No, husband he's always been saying he's
No,
a married bachelor.
uyasithanda.
He's a married bachelor, and he's like, we have time to stress.
He's a married
He says, I'm a
bachelor.
married bachelor. Like, second time around, this woman is busy with another book. So we wrote it together. No, so all 3 of us are co-authors. But that book is in editing. That one is
Coming soon.
It's coming soon. Well, the timing, because I'm told, hey, you mustn't confuse the market. So this one is
Yeah,
going to run its course. That
give
one
it time.
will bring it up maybe June, July next year. But it's already in editing.
Thank you so much
It's a pleasure.
for finally coming.
Yo, it's been a long week.
I know kudala ndikucela. Manje uzifakele ezi stress
So
zakho. Thank
that
you so much for
guys, you don't think ukuthi kudala into ndisala. I felt I wanted to bring something to the table.
Yes, you did say.
So I'm bringing.
You wanted to finish the book. The book is finished, and you are here.
So that's why I'm here. Thank you so much for having me.
Did you have fun?
It's been an absolute it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank
It's been
you.
an absolute pleasure. I'm
Thank
glad we did
you.
this finally.
Yeah.
So guys, buy the book. It's a beautiful book.
Where should they find it?
So obtainable through me in the meantime. So you can email me at kosidorin@gmail.com.
Yeah.
You'll find the book. Otherwise, you can ask Titi. Titi would know
Yeah,
how
I'll
to find me.
also put it up
And
when we post the episode, so where
thank you
people can
so much.
find.
So support. Buy the book. Buy the book. Buy the book.
Guys,
and
yeah.
the last one, Titi, I cannot take this opportunity. I feel that I've gained the skills. I now do lessons for those who want to start writing.
All right.
Encouragement and tips and stuff. So I do that.
All
So
right.
if you want to write your story or anything else for that matter,
Hit
me up.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, our time is a challenge.
I know, Titi. I'm racy, man.
I know.
I'm racy, but my mind is always on overrun.
Guys, that's it with Dr. Doreen Kosi, done and dusted. Please subscribe, guys. We want out of these hundreds. We want to go to the thousands now, so YouTube can start taking our podcast seriously. Catch us soon next time. That's it. It's a wrap.
Subscribe, guys. Subscribe. Titi needs the numbers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.